Yo, what's happening, baby? This is a Flaming Sword Music, and I'm Kamsin Khan. I hate it here. I hate it here. This trifling third rock, this third dimension, this dunya, you know. And by dunya, for anybody who's unfamiliar with the word, because I say it a lot, I am talking about the Arabic word dunya. It means earth. It means world, literally. But I'm referring to it literally, metaphorically, metaphysically, the dunya. And in, the Quran, the dunya was set up to be a trial for mankind. You know, toil, work. And the main trial that the dunya presents to mankind is that it and everything in it is going to be destroyed. It's going to go away and return back to the divine. And how can I say it? Until then, that, perfection can never be achieved. You got a thing called the golden means. I guess the ohm ratio. Fofo. Creation and destruction. 8. The concept and principle of anarchy. That there's always going to be a sense of anarchy or something that deteriorates. What's it called? Debilitation. I'll think of the word later. And that everything that we do is going to ultimately face destruction. Sometimes right here in the dunya or along with the dunya. But empires rise, empires fall. A lot of efforts that people put in don't come to fruition. And if it comes to fruition, it comes to fruition in some kind of warped way. And, in the spirit of that, I like a lot of people to know, at some point in time, I didn't like you. That's pretty much everybody that I know. Either I met you and I didn't like you and something happened to trigger some type of fellowship, or we had the fellowship and something happened that made me feel like I had to draw into my lower self. Entropy. That's what I'm talking about. Entropy. The concept that in this dimension, this third dimension, that everything will go into a state of chaos, which will prevent it from ever achieving that golden mean. And to me, I call the golden mean divine will. That's why I always talk and I say I try to make sure that everything I do is as close to divine will as possible. But the thing about the ohm ratio and all of that is that, at least in this dimension that I know of, there is no way that we can ever achieve the golden means. So the most we can do is hover around it. And a lot of times when something tries to break that golden mean, they come up against the divine prerogative and bounce right off. Gets disrupted and has to reset and recharge its course and its trajectory back towards that golden mean. And then what happens is that you reach a point where every time you set your point in your trajectory towards that golden mean, you know that you're going to come up against that divine prerogative that doesn't permit you to achieve it. And you're also going through the entropy and the or you're dealing with the propensity of everything to fall towards chaos. So you have to hold things together and move forward while continuously contending with the divine prerogative that is not going to let you reach that golden mean. And there is a struggle within the struggle that goes within that. So I deal with people from the perspective that they have the same struggle that I have, that they have the same wall of divine prerogative to bounce off of in order to achieve that golden mean that I have. So I don't expect people to be perfect. I'm willing to accept a lot of people for their flaws because I understand the concept of entropy and chaos and how it affects and, you know what I'm saying, plays with the laws of nature or interact with the laws of nature. But let's just say I've come across like a weird little understanding of frequencies, and you know, frequencies are disturbances and disruptions, you know, and or the vibrations that come from it. But you know, what if, like, let's just say a high frequency person is a person who butts up against that divine prerogative in its quest to achieve the golden mean continuously. Its trajectory is straight to it, and it just keeps butting up against it. But the lower frequencies that are slower choose other routes where they don't have to butt up against that wall that essentially lets them know that they're not perfect, you know? Because sound butts up against something. These frequencies that everybody talking about, they're not coming from nowhere, you know? Especially in this third dimension, how we relate to it. Sound comes from something. And what if a lot of these frequencies, like you see trees, you know, from the concept of Islam, trees, nature, general nature, they don't have free will, you know? A tree can't decide when it wants to drop its leaves. They can't decide anything. They can't do anything to adjust the course of their entropy. You know what I mean? So they are a lot closer to divine will, and maybe that's why nature is so equated with high frequencies, where low frequencies are equated with like emotions, like the amygdala, you know, instincts, which are things, you know, trees don't have instincts. They don't have nothing to run from, nothing to hide, nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to want. They just rotate closer to that divine or to the golden mean. So I think that really, like, to kind of bring this little discussion to some type of thing. You know, I was in prison. You know, I got out of prison. And when I got out of prison, I was really kind of, however, you know what I'm saying? But the reason was because at that time, I thought that there was some difference between, you know, I was trying to figure out the difference between, you know, like prison life and, you know, free life. I became a lot more comfortable with everything when I realized that there actually was no difference. You know, there's no difference in the people that I'm dealing with. You know, I like to say that everybody that I've ever met or everybody who's ever been in prison came from out here. You know, so there are a lot of people out here who are operating on frequencies that brings them nowhere near to the divine me, them higher frequencies that I seek. And, I kind of resent that because I kind of feel like I have to, you know, adjust myself to a lower frequency just to interact. And I'm not talking about on a negative level. It could be a cool level. I just feel like I have to adjust myself to a lower frequency and deal with this experience and the ayats, the signs that, the divine will have given to me to better myself. I kind of resent dealing with these experiences and these blessings from a lower frequency. It's weird to me. I don't think that not butting my head up and constantly encountering my lack of greatness should compel me to just create a lower frequency existence where I hold myself unaccountable. I have no problem with the discomfort of most of the experiences that I have. I have no problem with it. I spent most of my life in prison, and before that, I was poor. So I can take on a more austere approach to life. Because, irregardless, the problems and things that I encounter are part and parcel of being on this dunya. I don't like to use the analogy that even rich people have problems. I don't really like using that analogy because I would like to be rich with problems. I would like to be rich with problems, but the issue with me is, what problems do I want to have? Do I want to have problems that either force me or allow me to maintain a lower frequency and not butt my head up against that greatness that I so desperately seek, that understanding? I'd rather go through the discomfort of knowing that I'm not perfect and striving for it than thinking that I'm perfect based off of something that's gonna go away because it's the dunya. You're not gonna keep nothing. I'm rambling right now. This is exactly what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call this one a flaming sword rambling, because I'm just rambling right now, and I'm trying to keep my thread. The only thing that I'm trying to say is that I don't take anything for granted in this dunya. And I have a certain resentment for the fact that I know that I will never achieve the greatness that I seek. And that I know for a fact that I'm not going to shift my goals. And that everything that I strive to do is going to have some effect. But whatever effect it has is not going to last. Either in this world or when it bounces up against that divine prerogative. I hope somebody gets something from this. Once again, my name is Kamseen Khan, and this is a Flaming Sword Rambling. Be blessings and be blessed. One.